Hello Moto GP enthusiasts, welcome back to DAZN GP today. The 2025 French Grand Prix delivered a storm of surprises, both literally and figuratively, as Ducati's win streak came to a halt in a rain-splashed roller coaster at Le Mans. In the aftermath, Ducati Corse general manager Gigi Dall'Igna offered a sobering yet forward-looking reflection, from Marc Márquez's mature runner-up ride to heartbreak for Pecco Bagnaia and a fairy-tale home win for Johann Zarco. It was a weekend packed with emotion. Few expected Johann Zarco to pull off a home win at Le Mans, and even fewer imagined it would be in such commanding fashion. Among the first to react was former KTM teammate and current DAZN pundit Pol Espargaró, who offered a blend of admiration, insight, and behind-the-scenes reflection on the Frenchman's stunning ride. In a French Grand Prix defined by rain, risk, and redemption, Jack Miller's dramatic crash at Le Mans left the paddock in stunned silence. Having built a massive lead on wet tires while others faltered, Miller looked set to silence his critics, until it all fell apart at the final corner on lap 6. With Johann Zarco ultimately winning in front of his home crowd, the Pramac rider could only watch from the sidelines, shattered by what could have been. A tense moment at Le Mans saw French star Fabio Quartararo once again at odds with race officials. Following his crash in the rain-affected French Grand Prix, the Yamaha rider's frustration boiled over, leading to a confrontation with track marshals and a penalty that will see him miss the first 10 minutes of FP1 at Silverstone. With the clock ticking on his championship hopes, Quartararo now faces the consequences of his emotional outburst. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Ducati entered Le Mans chasing a historic 23rd consecutive win. But it was LCR Honda's Johann Zarco who stole the show, navigating chaos and a changing track to deliver an emotional victory in front of a home crowd. Dall'Igna, though disappointed to see the streak end, was gracious in defeat. If one makes the most of an impeccable ride in wet conditions to secure a surprise but most certainly well-deserved win, heartfelt congratulations Johann, Dall'Igna said. While Zarco triumphed, Marc Márquez showed championship mettle, choosing caution over glory. Dall'Igna praised the number 93 for resisting the urge to chase a risky win and instead banking a crucial podium, especially as rivals faltered around him. Marc's was an excellent race, conducted without taking unnecessary risks. It was a very difficult challenge, managed like a champion, rewarded with precious points. The other side of the factory Ducati garage was a different story. Pecco Bagnaia, still chasing front-end confidence, suffered a sprint DNF and was later wiped out in the main race by Enea Bastianini, his former teammate, while riding a clever wet tire strategy. For Pecco, a great disappointment. The strategy would certainly have seen him amongst the leaders were it not for the unfortunate crash. A weekend that had started with great promise turned inexorably negative. Despite the setback, Dall'Igna emphasized unity within the team and a clear mission to help Bagnaia recover mentally and return to form. The message was one of rallying, not resignation. We must all pitch our efforts together to resolve this situation and return a smile to Pecco's face. The bright spot for Ducati's extended family came via Gresini's rookie sensation Fermin Aldeguer, who claimed double podiums in both the sprint and main race. The young Spaniard's performance left Dall'Igna beaming. May this be the start of a long series for a rookie in whom we firmly believe. Race after race he surprises us with wonderful emotions. As the paddock packs up for Silverstone, Ducati's Le Mans saga serves as both a reality check and a call to arms. With Márquez now holding a 22-point cushion in the title chase, Bagnaia needing a comeback, and fresh names like Aldeguer rising, the 2025 MotoGP season remains as unpredictable as ever. Espargaró called the victory a once-in-a-lifetime moment, hailing the sequence of events that led to Zarco's fairy-tale win. From the chaos of bike swaps to the composure required to ride in changing weather, He credited Johann for staying calm in the storm. "These are things that happen once in a lifetime. I think it will take a little while for him to savor it, because he's still a bit in shock and not able to understand the magnitude of the situation." Pol's statement. The KTM test rider focused on the mental game. Zarco not only held the lead over Marc Márquez, but extended it under relentless pressure, in wet conditions, on what many consider a less competitive bike. Leading by 8 seconds with Marc Márquez behind you, in wet conditions, that pressure would crush most people. But Johann didn't just hold on, he stretched the gap to over 20 seconds. Espargaró highlighted the sheer pace Zarco maintained on his LCR Honda, a bike widely seen as inferior to Ducati's factory machine. In the end, Zarco crossed the line 19.907 seconds ahead of Márquez. "It's crazy. That's more than a second a lap. It's difficult to grade a result like this, but I'm convinced he's going to enjoy it a lot in the coming days." Espargaró and Zarco were teammates at KTM during what was supposed to be a turning point for the Austrian manufacturer. Pol recalls high expectations that ultimately didn't materialize for Zarco. "We thought Zarco's arrival would be the step forward KTM needed. I eventually took over as the lead rider, but Johann struggled a lot at the time. Still, he's incredibly hardworking and we had a good relationship." In a more personal tone, Espargaró reflected on Zarco's unique personality and unconventional approach to racing. "What may seem odd to some," Pol says, "is actually what's kept him competitive in Moto GP for so long. He's a bit strange, lives in his own world, and has some unusual methods. But the fact he's been in Moto GP this long proves they work. He's doing a good job at LCR and often leads the Honda charge," he concluded. From wild weather to a wild win, Zarco's Le Mans triumph was more than just a feel-good story. It was a masterclass in resilience, timing, and riding with heart. For former teammate Pol Espargaró, it was nothing short of savagery on home soil. As rain loomed over the restart, Miller rolled the dice. While 13 riders switched to slicks at the end of the sighting lap, he trusted his instincts and the radar by staying on wets. It paid off in the early laps as he carved his way from 13th to the front, building a 10-second lead over the next wet-shod rival, Zarco. "I gambled, trusted the forecast, and I was right. All the bikes on slicks were coming by, but I knew there would be a crossover. I was trying to nurse it and do all the right things." Miller's statement. But Le Mans had other plans. On lap 6, just as rain began to intensify, Miller was launched into a brutal highside at the final corner, the very turn that had already caught out Fabio Quartararo. Unlike the Frenchman's low side on slicks, Miller's crash came violently, with no warning. "It hurts because I don't understand what went on. I did the same thing as the laps before but lost it. Maybe it was bumps or patches of asphalt. But it flipped me over the front, and that was it." As Miller's dream dissolved in the gravel, Johann Zarco, 10 seconds adrift at the time, inherited the lead and claimed an emotional home victory. Pramac team boss Gino Borsa admitted the crash was crushing, not just for Miller, but for what it could have meant for the team. "Of course, it hurts to think that when Jack crashed, he was 10 seconds ahead of Zarco, and we all know how that ended," Borsa said. While Zarco gambled on a soft, wet rear, Miller opted for the more durable medium, ideally suited for the drying track. But as the rain returned, edge grip deteriorated, and Miller found himself managing the balance between caution and attack. "She was floating a bit, but I was able to ride relatively comfortable, up until that point. I was trying not to smoke the wet tire. But as it got wetter, the edge grip just went," Miller added. Mans marked Miller's third consecutive race without points, a bitter pill after a strong qualifying and solid pace all weekend. A bruising sprint incident with Bastianini, followed by the crash, only added to the frustration. "Speed and pace was good, the bike's working well. Just need to put some points in the bank," he concluded. While Zarco celebrates the fairy tale win, Jack Miller walks away from Le Mans empty-handed. but not without dignity. His strategy was bold, his pace electric, and the belief still burning. For now, the result is heartbreak. But as the championship rolls on, Miller's message is clear: the speed is there, and luck can't hide forever. Quartararo entered the Le Mans weekend with high hopes, riding on the progress Yamaha has made in recent races. A potential podium finish was within reach, especially with the unpredictable conditions adding excitement to the mix. But just as things seemed to be going his way, disaster struck. I was running second and feeling good, but the rain came, and my slicks lost traction. I knew anything could happen, so I rushed to get my bike back in the race, Quartararo said. As Quartararo scrambled to retrieve his bike and rejoin the race marshals intervened, refusing to let him continue. This sparked a heated confrontation. Although the television cameras didn't capture the incident, footage from fans on site circulated widely on social media, showing Quartararo angrily arguing with the stewards before walking away in clear frustration. I just wanted to get back in the race, but the marshals stopped me. It was a tough situation, and my emotions got the better of me. The aftermath: the FIM stewards handed Quartararo a penalty for irresponsible behavior, and for not following the track marshal's instructions. This disciplinary action will force him to remain in the pits for the first 10 minutes of FP1 at Silverstone, along with a fine of €2,000. The rider endangered himself and others by not following instructions, leading to this penalty. FIM statement. The Le Mans incident marks the second consecutive Grand Prix where Quartararo has clashed with race officials. A similar altercation occurred at Jerez just 2 weeks earlier, where a late crash during practice led to a verbal exchange with marshals. The aftermath in Le Mans, however, led to more serious consequences. I've learned from Jerez, but it's hard when you're so passionate about racing and things don't go as planned, Quartararo added. The FIM's swift action in response to Quartararo's emotional outburst signals that even former world champions must adhere to the rules. With Silverstone on the horizon, the Frenchman must now regroup and focus on the task at hand, putting points on the board. Emotional responses have no place in the paddock, and it's essential that riders adhere to the instructions given by marshals to maintain safety. FIM official. As Quartararo heads into Silverstone with a penalty to serve, the spotlight will be on how he handles the pressure. With a fire that fuels his determination, the Frenchman's race for redemption continues, and fans will be eager to see how he bounces back from his recent missteps. Thanks for watching DAZN GP today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time!